Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We're finally in November and have really been enjoying the cooler weather, even the cold rain. I especially love baking during this season and testing so many new recipes. Today I want to share with you a special dinner with my family and hopefully you can find some inspiration for your special moments with your loved ones. The sweet potato pie is by far my husband's favorite as his family is from the south. And for him, this hit home. This pie is a classic southern dessert that is sure to satisfy any sweet tooth. Made with a homemade flaky crust, a creamy sweet potato filling, and a marshmallowy meringue frosting, this pie is perfect for any holiday or special occasion. We're going to start with baking the sweet potatoes. I have 4 sweet potatoes, but we'll need only 3 for our pie. I'm baking all of them and will use the last one for a snack. You can bake the sweet potatoes the day before. Pierce them with a fork and lightly drizzle with olive oil, then transfer to a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for 1 hour. Meanwhile, let's prepare the homemade flaky pie dough. In a food processor, combine 1 1/4 cup of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Pulse that a few times until combined. Now add 1 stick of cold butter. Slice it or dice it into cubes and add it to your running food processor. Pulse until you obtain a powdery consistency. Now turn on your food processor and gradually add 4 to 5 tablespoons of ice-cold water, one at a time until your dough comes together into a ball. Transfer it to a plastic wrap and shape it into a disc. Refrigerate for a minimum of 1 hour and up to 5 days, or you can freeze it into an airtight container up to 3 months. Now let's check on our sweet potatoes. You'll know they're ready when a fork pokes right through. I'm setting one aside to enjoy later. If you don't have time to wait for them to cool down to room temperature, poke them with the fork and split them in the middle to let the steam escape. Once they're easier to handle, peel them, then transfer to a large bowl and mash thoroughly with an electric hand mixer. Add 1 cup or 2 sticks of melted butter, 1 1/2 cup of sugar, and you can control how sweet you like your sweet potato pie. Follow with 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. With the mixer on, add 4 eggs, 1 at a time, beating to incorporate between each addition. Now add a 1/4 cup of buttermilk, a 1/3 cup of flour, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Or you can simply add a 1/3 cup of self-rising flour if that's what you have on hand. Mix until combined, scraping down the bowl as needed. Lastly, zest 1 lemon or 1 orange for that perfect fresh aroma. And mix to combine. Your filling is ready. Set it aside for a few minutes while we're rolling the pie dough. On a floured surface, roll your pie dough into a circle. Then transfer it to your pie dish of your choice. Gently press the dough down into the dish so that it lines the bottom and the sides of your baking pan. Then use a knife to trim the excess dough. Transfer your filling to your prepared pie dish and bake in a preheated oven in the center rack at 365 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour until the pie is set in the center. Mine sometimes may take a few minutes longer. Cool the pie to room temperature, then transfer it in the fridge to set overnight. The next day, I started working on the Beef Wellington. This is one of our favorite dishes. Such an elegant and beautiful main course to serve at your dinner table. This is also a dish that you can prepare the day before and keep in the fridge overnight. Let me show you all the tips and tricks for this recipe. This is a beautiful cut of beef. Ask your butcher to trim any excess fat. Season your beef with salt and pepper. Roll the beef into your board so the salt and pepper adhere to the meat. Remember to season the ends too. Transfer to a hot skillet drizzled with 2 to 3 tablespoons of neutral oil. Grapeseed or avocado oil works great. The oil needs to be very hot. It should sizzle the moment you add it. You want to sear the beef evenly, not cook it. This should only take a minute or two per side. Keep rolling it and ensure the ends are also seared. Remove the beef tenderloin from the pan and set it aside on a plate. Brush with 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard all over the beef and set it aside while you're preparing the mushroom filling, or otherwise known as the mushroom duxelles. I have some beautiful fresh button mushrooms and porcini mushrooms that add so much flavor to this dish. In a food processor, place 1 pound of brown button mushrooms and half a pound of porcini mushrooms. Salt and pepper to taste, then add 2 garlic cloves, 2 shallots, and if you don't have a food processor, just chop everything finely. Blitz for less than a minute. You want it to be fine but still with some coarse texture. Scrape the sides of the food processor bowl as needed. Add some fresh thyme that pairs perfectly with the mushrooms. Place duxelles mixture in a dry pan on high heat and spread it evenly. Add 1 cup of red wine, which is optional but very recommended. It brings out the flavors of the mushrooms and enriches this filling with a nutty flavor. Once it boils, reduce the heat to a gentle simmer and leave to cook until all the moisture has evaporated. Keep stirring as often as you can. It's ready when it just starts to stick on the bottom. Remove from the heat and leave to cool. Place some plastic wrap on your bench, approximately 2 feet long, and arrange the prosciutto slices by overlapping each one slightly. You don't want any gaps at all, so the meat is sealed. Once the duxelles has totally cooled down, place in the center of the prosciutto and spread with a spatula to a rough shape of a rectangle. Make sure the duxelles has no moisture and it's cooled. Otherwise, the filling will leak through, the pastry will get soggy, and you don't want that to happen. Position the beef tenderloin at the top part of your laid out duxelles. Lift the plastic wrap from the same end and start to gently roll the meat nice and tightly. Once rolled, tighten the plastic by twisting each end. The beef should have a nice cylindrical shape. Refrigerate up to 30 minutes to firm up. Scatter a little flour over your work surface and lay out your puff pastry sheet. Roll it out as large as you need, depending upon the size of your beef tenderloin, to ensure it's sealed all around. Remove the plastic wrap from the beef and place it on top of the pastry. Roll it until completely wrapped. Pinch the ends to seal, twist, trim, and tuck any excess underneath. Wrap it again tightly in plastic wrap and place in the fridge for 1 hour and up to 24 hours. This is the perfect make-ahead dish. In the meantime, let's tackle the rest of our menu. I'm baking these creamy, cheesy, delicious Hasselback potatoes. This recipe moves fast, but it takes a long time to bake, so begin by preheating your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's prepare the potatoes first. Slice a small sliver off the bottom of the potato so it sits flat. Then place the potato between 2 equally tall items like chopsticks or metal straws, and slice each potato roughly 10 to 16 times end to end so you're left with the classic Hasselback potato shape. Repeat the process with all of your potatoes. Rearrange the potatoes so they are snug and fit well into the baking pan. In a bowl, mix 1 cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of chopped thyme, and salt and pepper to taste. One of the big secrets of baking delicious potatoes or mac and cheese require a fine selection of cheeses. Gruyere and Parmesan cheese are a perfect combination, mild and nutty flavors. I'm shredding 1 cup of Gruyere cheese and 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. I highly recommend you shred your own cheeses and stay away from the pre-shredded ones. Add it to your bowl along with 1 head of garlic confit, which adds so much flavor to this dish. And again, I didn't bake the garlic head in advance, so I'm burning my fingers attempting to squish it out. Learn the lesson from me. Bake your garlic confit in advance. Combine well, then spoon the cream mixture evenly all over the potatoes. Cover with aluminum foil and transfer to a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 minutes. Then increase the heat to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, remove the foil, and bake an additional 10 to 15 minutes, or until the potatoes are nicely golden brown on top and soft all the way through when poked with a fork. While the Hasselback potatoes are baking, I am going to make the meringue topping for the sweet potato pie that's been waiting patiently in the fridge overnight. Place the glass bowl from your standing mixer on top of simmering water and add 2 egg whites, a 1/3 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and a pinch of salt. Whisk that vigorously until it reaches 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Then carefully take it off the heat, wipe the bowl clean with a kitchen towel, and with a whisk attachment beat until stiff peaks form. Just look at this amazing meringue. Save this recipe for any meringue recipes that you need. Transfer it to a piping bag fitted with a nozzle attachment of your choice and pipe some beautiful meringue dollops on top of your sweet potato pie. It's that simple. This is not only going to elevate your pie to $1 million look, but it will enhance the flavors dramatically. Meringue pairs really well with the sweet potato pie. Everyone will be so impressed by your creativity. Now use your torch to pretend like you're James Bond for a few minutes and lightly toast the meringue on top for a marshmallow look. And voila, it's ready. Keep it in the fridge until ready to serve. The Hasselback potatoes are fully cooked. They smell amazing. This is a delicious, creamy take on creating a new potato recipe and impress your family and friends with something that most likely they've never tasted before. While the potatoes are cooling, I will put together this beautiful fall floral arrangement. I received this beautiful bouquet from a friend and decided to make it part of my tablescape. It's very easy when you're buying an already put together bouquet of flowers. A few pro tips for a beautiful floral arrangement. Choose a substantial vase that is deep and heavy enough to support the weight of the flowers before arranging. Cut at least 1/4 inch off each stem and remove all leaves that would be submerged in water. Select floral elements and color scheme that pairs perfectly with all the dishes that you're serving. Change the water and recut the stems every few days. With good care, a floral arrangement like this can last up to 2 weeks. If intended for the dinner table, make sure your arrangement is either short enough or placed so it doesn't block guests' views of each other. This came out beautiful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I have a little over an hour left until I'm serving dinner. So I'll remove the beef tenderloin from the plastic wrap and place it on a baking pan lined with parchment paper. For the Beef Wellington hallmark design, use the back of your knife and score the pastry diagonally to create a pattern. You can also use a lattice cutter. Brush over the pastry with an egg wash, which is 1 egg yolk whisked with 1 tablespoon of milk. Sprinkle some flaky salt from up high for an even spread. Transfer to a preheated oven and bake at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 minutes for medium rare. While the tenderloin is in the oven, let's prepare the last appetizer on our menu. Green beans with crunchy almonds and a perfect honey mustard dressing. This is the Gordon Ramsay recipe that we've loved for years. I will start with the easy, delicious dressing. In a bowl, add the garlic confit, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and 2 tablespoons of honey. Salt and pepper to taste and whisk until a smooth paste is formed. Taste and season as necessary, adding a little more vinegar if needed. Meanwhile, in a medium pot with boiling salted water, transfer 1 pound of green beans. Cook for no longer than 2 to 3 minutes. Don't cook them all the way through. We want to ensure they preserve their crunchiness. Refresh immediately by transferring them into a bowl of cold icy water. This method is called blanching, which will stop the cooking immediately and preserve their crunchiness and green color. Drain in a colander and transfer them to your honey dressing and coat each string of bean in the delicious sauce. Sprinkle the toasted sliced almonds and serve immediately. Our main course is ready. You probably noticed my potatoes in the oven, which I added in the last 10 minutes to warm up. One of the most important rules for a beef Wellington, like for any type of meat, you have to let it rest for 20 minutes uncovered. If you slice into it right away, number 1, you'll burn your fingers, and number 2, the most important, you'll let all the juices escape the meat onto your cutting board. When you allow time to rest, the juices distribute all over the meat, and the meat itself becomes very tender. Slice the beef Wellington with a serrated knife into at least 1-inch slices and serve immediately. At this point, I'm serving everything I have on the table, inviting my family to join. Food has always been my love language, and I always believed that the gathering at the table bonds and creates amazing memories with your family and friends. I hope you find some recipe or hosting inspiration. If you enjoyed today's video, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing before you go. See you next time!